Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. I hope that today's been really informative for everybody, and you being here means that you're interested in starting your own business and making food, doing it. So I think probably the most productive way to use this time is to tell you how I started and where I'm at right now. About 2.5 years ago, it took about 3 months, and I was learning a little bit more about the philosophy of yoga, and just actually getting really deep into it. And also did a body cleanse, and after about 3 months, I was ready for that time to end. So I was going to have some friends over for a cocktail, and I wanted to make something special because I hadn't had anything to drink in like 3 months. So I didn't want it to be like apple juice or orange juice or grapefruit juice or something like that. So I was like, maybe like a simple syrup with ginger, because I'm not a mixologist, but I think that's something that they would do. So I mixed that with vodka, and it tasted pretty awful. So I thought it might need some lemon and some mint, and it takes a couple of hours from you making a simple syrup and heating up ginger before you actually get a finished product. So by the time it was done, I was drinking it by itself. I was like, this is pretty good. And over the next 3 months, I just played with a bunch of different flavors, but it was the spice of it that I really liked. So I just kept playing with the flavors and came up with what's now known as ginger. So, the first thing that I'm thinking to myself that I dare not say out loud is I think I got something here. I think that this is something special. I don't know anything else out there that tastes like this. So I want to make a business of it. So the first thing that I realized I had to do is I had something, I had a concept. I didn't have a product yet, because a product has got a package to it, and it's got a coherent story, and it's got what is it for, the functional use or whatever. So I started with these Obsession perfume bottles. So I put it in these bottles and put a cork on it and dip it in purple wax, like a Maker's Mark bottle, and we just give it out to other attorneys. Oh, by the way, yeah, I was a patent attorney before I did this. So just to give you a short background, it really doesn't matter what profession you came from. You'll learn a lot. With that said, so I was given out as gifts, and this is like my way of like testing the market and seeing, if this really was, if it was just me being crazy, or if other people also identified with that, that specialness of it. So what I was getting back, about 30 responses was, I like it, but I think it's too spicy for everybody else. So after the first 5 of those, I was like, all right, maybe, maybe this is one of those little fringe things. But then once you hear that 30 times, you realize that everybody's got a much higher opinion of their tolerance for spice. Everyone thinks the rest of the world is boring. So there's a small store in Philadelphia. It's like a gourmet store. It's got hundreds of beers, and every time you go in there, you'll spend at least $5 on anything. A candy bar is $5. Really expensive. So the owner of the store, he got one of the sample bottles from one of the clerks that I gave to for Christmas, and he said, this drink is really powerful. I'd like to stock it in the store. What do you think? You want to try this? And I was like, yeah. It's like, it doesn't have any drugs in it, does it? I was like, no, it doesn't have any drugs in it. So that was like March of 2010. So that was the first day that ginger went on the shelves. It was March 31st, 2010. And within 4 days, 20 bottles were sold. So 4-ounce bottles sold for $4. So, I'm the ultimate pessimist, just because until you actually see that people want something that you've made, you don't really know how to value it. So the whole concept of somebody paying $4 for something I made in my kitchen it blew my mind. I was like, you know what? It's just all my friends. They were just wanting to be nice because they saw it on Facebook, and they're just, really nice people. But then, it happened again 4 days later, and then it happened again 4 days later. So this went on for 4 months. So me and all my friends were going by the store in the morning and in the afternoon. Every single day we're like taking numbers. It's hilarious. Like I still have the chart where it shows like the days that I'd have to restock. And it's like, oh my God, it's like, this is gonna be huge. So what do? We go write a business plan. We're like, we're gonna be bigger than Coca-Cola. Yeah. So then, this is absolutely knowing nothing about the beverage industry now. This is just, I'm still in my kitchen making this and haven't even realized like the illegality of this whole thing. But So then I'm like, okay, we need to get serious about this. So I go see a bottler. He looks at the bottle. He's like, well, first of all, it's going to cost you 100 grand just to restock this. I mean, just to retrofit the bottling line. So go with a standard bottle. Now I'm like, oh, you know, but I think it's like the whole appearance that gets people. So I'm like, okay. So I spend the whole summer, you know, weighing like how I'm going to do this. So I finally come upon this bottle, and it took me a while to actually make my piece of it because I put so much time and energy into making this little obsession. I was like, it's a magic potion like what the gummy bears would eat. And that's what they bounce around. Like, this is one of those things. So I put it in this bottle, went into that store again, and then about 3 other little grocery stores in the city. Like, there's a store called the Green Aisle, which it's like a little, it's like the size of your closet, but it's all really special stuff for that neighborhood. And it's one of those places you go because everything in there is like specialty sort of stuff. And a place called the Pumpkin Market, and I think Martindale's, which is a natural food store that's been in Philly since the 70s. So it's like an icon sort of store. And, you know, just decided, I was like, I didn't know how to price it, because I'm like, at $4 for 4 ounces, that means $1 an ounce, right? So, you know, if you got a 25-ounce bottle, it should be $25, right? No, it's not. No, it's So what I did decide on, I was like, $15 is what I'll start at, and it sold, and it kept selling, and this is about the point, 2010 September, when I was introduced to the Food Innovation Center, and you know, it's here that we scaled things up, so it wasn't, you know, in my kitchen, like making it gallons at a time, but you know, it could actually be scaled up, and also FDA approved process. So, you know, while I was doing things that were safe, this has now got the seal of approval from the government. So you don't have to worry about litigation as much. Also got insurance and all that good stuff that, you know, all the parts of business that, you know, all of your excitement and passion don't really give you much time for, and you want to avoid doing because you don't know how much it's going to cost, and it's all passion and excitement, and then when you start realizing the cost, that's when you start coming back to reality. But what you'll find is that if this is something that you really want to do, you'll figure out a way to make it work, because it will work. You know, whatever you need, the universe will put in front of you when you're ready for it. So work at the Food Innovation Center through the fall and the winter, trying to figure out how to scale this up to make 100 gallons at a time instead of 5 gallons. So it took us like 4 months, and right about the time that we had it figured out, I got a call from a guy who had this chocolate specialty food show at the Meadowlands. And this is going to be the first food show that Ginger was at. Up until now, it was either we're giving out free samples and people are going to the store and buying it, or we're sampling at the store. This is going to be the first time where people are coming to a place just to buy food, and let's see what happens. So, you know, people are telling me, I think this is a bad idea. Why would you take a product like yours to a show made for chocolate? That doesn't even make sense. Are you sure you want to do this? That seems like a waste of money. So we made up our first batch at the center, and literally the next day I was driving this cargo van up to the Meadowlands with 30 cases on the Friday before the show. So the show happens that Sunday. All my friends from law school come up from DC. It's like this big like reunion, and they come up there the next morning. We stayed up too late. We were all hungover driving up to Meadowlands. But they had a record crowd of 7,000 people at the Meadowlands. And we had, I know, I wish I had pictures to show you guys. It's on the Facebook page, on the Facebook fan page. So within 4 hours, we sold 300 bottles. So
I'm like, I think,
huh?
Do you want to show them?
No.
Okay.
So that's when I was like, I think we've got something here. You know, like I'm starting to believe a little bit more. But now we're getting to a point where, you know, we've got a couple of little outlets. We've got these food shows. These are big bumps. But, you know, this is not really a business yet. This is when I feel like a business. Like a business is something that's got like, you know, revenue constantly coming in, and you're spending money, and you're actually, you know, but it's not at that phase yet. And then Diane, we'd actually, then DeBruno Brothers, they called. So DeBruno Brothers is like a specialty meat and cheese shop. They actually have specialty items there. And they were like, we're interested. Some of our customers have tasted it and want it stocked here. So We stocked into Bruno Brothers Italian Market Festival, another huge opportunity for people to try ginger. So it's starting to get around the city. And then, so we're into Bruno's now. We're in a couple of the grocery stores, of the small grocery stores. And then Diane calls and she says that Whole Foods has got like this event. It's like a American Idol for food, where local vendors come in and you set up a table in their store and you get to sell your product in their store. It's called Local Palooza. And they let you keep all the money. And I think it's a way for them to actually keep the finger on the pulse of what people want. Who's coming up with the next big ideas, because it keeps it authentic. Like somebody local's got a good idea, people want it, we want it here. So that happened in June, and they gave us the green light. The Princeton store, they championed our application through. So it's a corporate process. Like it starts in Texas and works its way up to Maryland, and that took about 4 months. So then, we did some fashion shows and a couple of, like sponsorships of different causes, like, child care, like, at-risk children sort of nonprofits. And then October, we finally get the word that the application's gone through, our barcode is now in the Whole Food system. So now you can go approach the stores one by one. So it's just, it's back to going and making a sale. So you go store to store to store. So there are 40 Whole Foods in the Mid-Atlantic region, and we have access to going to all those. But now you've got to work out the logistics, because distributors, they want to see that everybody wants it before they take you on as a product. And before they can take you on as a product, you've got to actually have sales in all these stores. It's a chicken before the egg sort of situation, and that's why with food companies, at some point, you're going to have to figure out how you're going to really fund this to make it work, unless you're independently wealthy, of course, or hit the lotto. So we go to Whole Foods November of last year, and sales have been phenomenal. And we had there's been a couple of unprecedented things that have happened. So Whole Foods, each store has their own buyer, and then the Mid-Atlantic region has a buyer that's in control of them all. So she took a meeting with me, which from the people that I know in the industry, that doesn't happen. You're supposed to go in there with a food broker, but because this product is something that's special and unique, and it's filling a space that there's nothing else in, and people want it, she was like, okay, product is great. Here's what you need to do. You want to be in all the stores? No problem. Look, here are 2 distributors to go with. Fine. Change the label, make the smaller bottle a smaller bottle, and get some money so that you can make enough so that we never run out. Got it? And like, I left the meeting thinking in the mode of a salesman, because what I had been doing up until this point is being a distributor, being a salesman, being a marketer, and being a producer. But I didn't have the CEO hat on yet, and I didn't understand that that was a phenomenal result, which is basically you now have access to 40 stores, and here's all you need to do. I'm thinking of it from the perspective of, why didn't they order 1,000 cases and let me figure this out later on, So about that point, so that was in February. We still had some pretty phenomenal sales in the Whole Foods. So this was about the point that there's a restaurant called Tashan. It's a modern Indian restaurant. It's really cool. The guy who makes tiffin, he was an investment banker that actually just decided to get out after 9/11 and just started making Indian food. So they found the product. I go in there to talk to them about a promotion I want to run, and it happens to be the victory party for one of our state representatives. And who happens to be there is the state senator for Philadelphia and Delaware County that was a former Pepsi executive who likes the product and wanted me to sample it at his birthday party. And I'm starting to think like, I've been in politics before when I was younger, but had no idea really what's the functional use of a politician for a business owner. And I was going through this whole process of minority business enterprise in Pennsylvania. I have no idea why, because I'm like, the state of Pennsylvania is not going to be buying cases of ginger. And then I was sitting there and I was like, wait a minute, yes they are. Because Pennsylvania is one of the commonwealths in this country that 100% owns and controls the liquor stores, and Ginger's a great mixer for alcohol. Huh, now I got a reason to go meet with this senator. So I meet with them, I'm telling them that, a year ago I called these guys, and they blew me off. They were like, we have a moratorium of 2 years on taking in any non-alcoholic items because we have this arcane SKU system that it doesn't allow us to reuse SKUs, and we're running out of SKUs, we can only use them on alcohol. So I'm like, okay, whatever, like that seems like it would be a long trip for possibly nothing. I need to focus on the grocery stores. But now, this senator, he says, not only am I going to get you a meeting with the chairman, I'm going to actually get you in the stores. So I say, okay. His scheduler calls me 2 weeks later. I go down to Harrisburg about a month after that, so it's sometime in March. And we go straight to the chairman's office, like the guy that runs, like the guy. So, the senator comes in and he says, look, like no good old boy network, like, I know how this works. You need these votes, and, he needs to get in your store, so he's got a great product, and it's not like anything else. So the guy makes one phone call, and literally, my product's being handheld right through the whole system. It's like, one of those results that it was totally unexpected, and I guess it's that thing when opportunity and preparation come together, you just, make an ask for something and you get it. So we've got the pallet actually all wrapped up now for the first delivery to the PLCBs. So they let me pick the 10 stores that I want to test it in. So I get to pick the best 10 stores and pick where I want to put it in the store. They said, like, it's not going to go on a cocktail mixer shelf because it'll get lost there, but maybe on the shelf next to the cash register would be a good place. So, it's one of those great results. And then once I start doing the numbers to figure out how am I going to meet the demand, should all these things fall into place, I start to realize that I'm going to need a couple of thousand cases very soon, like sooner than not. And I don't have the money for that, and the banks are taking a long time. But there's an alumni from my college that's a broker-dealer, and he's all about helping out alumni. So he's like, here's what you need to do for your numbers, as far as what you need, how many, what your sales are going to be projected out 24 months. So that was like last Monday. So I'm sitting in the coffee shop working on my numbers, and then Tuesday I'm become a boring person the past 2 years. I don't have any hobbies, so I go to throw darts at a bar, and like as I'm walking in the bar, this ABC, the Shark Tank, the producers call, and they're like, tell us about your product. And they ask me, and I'm like, look, I'm not in front of, I don't have numbers in front of me. Like, I'm in front of a bar, literally. Like, this isn't California. This is Philadelphia. It's 9 o'clock now. So they want the promotional video, and they said if chosen, it'll shoot sometime in June or July, and that's where that's that. So
what percentage are you going to give up?
For those guys, I don't know. We haven't even. I'm still working through the numbers, but more than anything, it's a time to take a step back and really think about, is this the right first, splash nationally, or are there other more opportune places like Dr. Oz or The View, or I don't know. Is Geraldo Rivera still on? No, but yeah, it's like a great opportunity, but there's still plenty of work to do in between there. I just because it's a mixer and it goes really well with alcohol. I just started exploring pre-mixed drinks like the Skinny Girl margaritas. Mm-hmm. So it's a company called Brown-Forman. They own Maker's Mark and Jack Daniels, and Jack and Ginger. Jack and Ginger is a great pairing. So. Literally yesterday, I just set up a meeting with the Brown-Forman rep, and he's going to have the Jack Daniels rep with him and one of the bigger wine and spirit distributors in the state. So that's the end of the month. So there's a lot going on, but it seemed to me, looking back over the past 2 years, as I became prepared for opportunities, that's when they arrived. But me wanting more opportunities didn't make that happen, and that's something to remember. Like, your business will grow as fast as you prepare it to. So that's my story.
All right.
Oh, and this is the new bottle. This is the original. I guess you guys can pass them around. Look.
You didn't change the size of the bottle though, right?
No, it just looks so much cooler. It just seems like.
Well, she had told you to reduce the sign.
Yeah, the